This episode is brought to you by TwoLinedMusicHutStore.com. TwoLinedMusicHutStore.com is your all-access to culture. Check out cultural merchandise like leggings, hats, mini boxing gloves, and bags. Also t-shirts like hip-hop, nature, rock bands, reggae, and dark fantasy. Fast shipping worldwide. That's TwoLinedMusicHutStore.com. Now let's check out this episode. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Muscle, and this is another Two Line Music Cuts Entertainment Report podcast. And today we have a really special guest in the building. Listen, this is the original dancehall master. Listen, he's been celebrating over 30 years on Irie FM. You know, we have in the building today, we have Mr. GT Taylor in the building today. What's going on, big boss?
Hey, I'm saying all is good. We're giving the Almighty God thanks for life, and that's what's going on. We're living. And I think that's one of the greatest gifts you can get from the Almighty God. Life, my brother.
You understand. That's the most important thing, because without life, there's nothing. So once you have life, you could accomplish anything.
Anything, man. Anything. Yes.
I mean, definitely so happy to have somebody like you sitting in that chair there so we could have a conversation, because you've seen so much and you've done so much in this business. And I just can't wait for the stories to start flowing from what you've seen from your eyes.
Oh, boy. It's if we're going to go into it, or if we should go into it in its entirety, I think you're going to have to have me for about a year.
No, I'm not greedy. I'm willing to start off with whatever bit I could get, and then we'll take it from there. So my first question for you is this. Where did you grow up in Jamaica, and what type of child were you?
All right. I can say I have the best of both worlds, right? I was born in Kingston, all right? I have some schooling in Kingston. And also, I adopted my mother's parish, which is St. Elizabeth. So I had a stint of the country life there by going to school down there also, which is the parish of St. Elizabeth, which I'm now residing in. So I can call it the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. And what type of child were you growing up in the best of both worlds?
A road child, troublemaker. Yeah, I mean, when I look back at my life, I was really a rude child, and of course a child that really is searching all the time. That was the type of child I could say I was.
Okay, and then what was your attraction to either music or entertainment? Where did that start for you?
Well, it started from in the country, back in, going to the country part. I had an uncle, may his soul rest in peace, right? He used to take care of us. And he was one of those persons in a community that you always can look up to. He always do things for you. He tried to find the youths, because it's rural Jamaica at the time. Right in the hills, the hills of St. Elizabeth, a place called Warminster. We were not enlightened to enlighten. Most of the kids there were really in the dark with certain things. Well, I could say I was not that in that capacity, because I had the Kingston. I had the stint of Kingston, the run of Kingston also. So there in the country, he used to take us out, on trips. Right, and he took us out on a trip once, I remember, to Santa Cruz, and St. Elizabeth Technical High School just opened, right, and they used to have like a little concert in the auditorium, and he took us in the auditorium, and there was a band playing, a live band, in there, and I was so fascinated about this band, that we were way in the back. I was there with some senior people, that was overlooking us, and somehow I don't know, I wiggled myself away from them, I wiggled away, and I take them an age, because these people on stage just fascinate me, the man on the mic and the drummer doing his thing. I was so fascinated. And I wiggled myself way up and I found myself right on stage. And I put there for the entire time. All right. And that thing just got to me. Now, when I went back to my to the village up there in Warminster, Muscle, every old zinc pan. I don't know if people know what is a zinc pan these days. A zinc pan that used to oil used to come in and cooking oil. We call it kerosene pan at the time. I find every kerosene pan, every cheese tin, and I put up a drum set thing around me. I mean, the only thing, if the night basement thing was in at that time, the district would call police on me. Because the amount of noise I made up. The amount of noise I made in that district, there at the time, And then after that, we were there was a scout troop. Troop was formed. And I became a member of the scout troop there. I wasn't a scout troop in Kingston before, though. So it wasn't anything hard to get into this scout troop. And right away, I went up and I became one of the top scouts. They call it a Queen Scout. And I started a band with the scouts, a little marching band, But the drums we use now is the drums made out of goat skin with a rope. And I had a couple of guys with me, and of course, all of them, they are gone on to great things now. We used to march up and down the place, and trust me, I was always in that type of thing. Want to be, a scout. I used to admire the soldiers, the police, but unfortunately, I couldn't get into some of these things because I was not allowed, because I did not have it. My schooling, the school, I was not one of the kids that got the opportunity for the high school, So I made the best of what I had and what I wasn't able to get into the cadets or get into the this army thing, So I made the best of it, and that was the early beginning. That was another early.
Okay, and you said that some of the members of this band went on to do great things. Who were some of the members in this band?
Well, not of the band. I mean, I'm speaking about members of the community. The members of the community. Some of them went on into teaching. Some became doctors and all of that. Doctor and they were inspired also, and they move on to other things. Not in the entertainment thing.
Got
I was the only. But actually, then I went back to Kingston, and I went to a school called All Saints. Now, All Saints is a school that a lot of stalwarts are there. And that now even inspired me more because I was in school with the likes of Gregory Isaacs, Bonnie Whaler, yes, Half Pint, and of course, both good and bad, because we had people like Claude Massop, Bucky Marshall, lots of great people. Copeland Forbes, So if you see where I'm at, and we went into I went back into scouting in Kingston, and I went into Boys Brigade. So I really, my younger age there, and then of course after that, before that, while at All Saints School, I became a member of a band, a Catholic band that used to a marching band, because in Jamaica at that time, marching band played a big role in parades. All right, we used to have like Christmas parade and a lot of parades. All right, so I got myself involved because I was always into that type of thing, So I got into the marching band. And I started playing tenor drum, and a couple named people also was in that band. The great Bigger Ford and his brother. All right, may his soul rest in peace. Bigger Ford was in that band, and of course. Bigger Ford, after time, lost his brother. And by losing his brother, that is what took him into the police force. Yeah. I went to the police force, you know.
Listen, GT, we're not even 10 minutes in, and my heart can't take everything that you're saying already.
I went into the police force. That was Bigger Ford and a couple other guys, you know, Leng, you know, Sting, a couple other guys. But there was a time now when the police force they used to recruit people at Upper Camp. Right? And you know that's where you had to go for recruitment. And I went there, but believe me, I think I only spent two days in there.
Why is that?
No, I couldn't take the regimental thing, and you know that you know it was me. It didn't cut out. It didn't cut out for me, so I cut. I think they're still looking for me. You know, they couldn't find me. But Bigger Ford went on, and of course he went on and became senior, you know, superintendent, and there was another superintendent by them that went on to be commissioner of police. Also, that we were band members. We weren't in the same band, but of course we used to meet because marching bands. That was a band from Waltham Park Road, right? I don't remember the name of the band now, but there was one of the top bands also. And the drum major, you know, drum major is the one that leads the band, you know. Superintendent Forbes, and he went to the commissioner also, Commissioner Forbes. So I rubbed shoulder with a couple of the people.
Just a couple, nothing too big, just a few.
Yeah, so, and then, so that's it now. So a lot of other things start happening after.
Okay, so question for you is this.
I used to school a lot, you know. Yeah, man.
Crazy.
For any kids listening right now, though, I would not really say to do that. I would not encourage you to do that. But at that time, school for us, I don't know. It was it was a little bit tedious. You used to get a lot of beating. It is a lot of beating, man. We had some teachers there, man. That even the same Gregory had there. We used to call school, man. You know, we used to skull school and go down to a place called Bolo, catch fish. They bought a place named Bolo, you know. GRS, the Jamaica Omnibus Service, they took over that ground after a time. Yeah. So, what I think about it? Yeah, man, it's a skull school. And sculling school, that's how I started really get into music on another level.
Okay, so I'm going to remember that. There's one thing I want to go back, and then we'll go forward to that there. When you were in school with Half Pint, Gregory Isaacs, Bunny Wheeler, and everybody, did any of you guys have musical ambitions at that time there, or you guys were just kids being kids at that time?
Well, Bunny Wheeler and Gregory, they were always singing around the place. But they were big boys to me, though, you know. Yeah, man, I said, I want to catch you on Gregory. I know the same man used to be. Gregory was always a joker from that time to this time. I take may his soul rest in peace. You know, nice person, genuine person, you know, from that time, drove, always singing, you know. I didn't know he would become, none of us didn't know what he would become, you know. Bunny Wheeler was a senior to us, you know. Then Copeland Forbes and myself was more on the same level. You know, he also went into scouting, you know, and all of that. And he used to dance too, and I used to dance. Went into a dance group. Yeah. So, boy, I'm telling you, a lot of things. Like I said, we're always, growing up, I always trying to reach out to, you know, to do something. In entertainment. Yeah.
You get it. Okay, so then where we had left off just now, you said at one point this is where you really start to get into the music business. So let's take up from there. What steps did you make to get into the business at this point here?
All right. One day I scored school and went down to Victoria Pier. Now Victoria Pier, they used to have every Wednesday a live band used to play there. Like before, you had Tommy McCook and the Supersonics used to play down there. The Vikings, a lot of them. So there was a pause, and I don't know what happened, but I went there that day, and I see a band. Within the band, I didn't know the band didn't have any name. All right, and of course, they wanted to start to play. At this time, the leader of the band was Anson Collins. Yeah, Anson Collins was the leader of the band. All right, and a guitarist, a popular, he's gone now. His name is Ranchi. He was another top guitarist. He was the guitarist at the time. And there was a brethren trying to play drums. Can't play drums good, but he was trying, Mm-hmm. But so they had that thing set up. Oh, the brethren are trying to play drum. He's now known as Sly Dunbar.
GT, my heart is killing me right now, boss. What?
Yes, his name is Sly Dunbar. We used to call him Charlie. Mm-hmm. At the time. And there was another guy there that strumming the guitar too. He couldn't play it properly, but he was strumming, but he could sing. Mm-hmm. All right, so he was a singer. Lloyd Parks. Yes. So Anson Collins, Lloyd Parks, and myself, we started in this band. This band it goes by, well, before we get into the name of it, so the band wanted to start playing. Mm-hmm. And there was a Rasta man, right? He resembled I Selassie. He that's how he dressed like I Selassie. A cap, and he looks like Selassie, and short, and he has this that type of tunic dress, mm-hmm. with his belt. Well up for looking gentleman he was. And he started to go around and ask, can somebody introduce this man? And he go around to a lot of other kids, and everybody started to run and hide, And I started coming on, and he come right around to me. And I did not hesitate. I went and I asked what's the name of the band, and he says the band name is RHT Invincibles. And I must introduce the band as RHT Invincibles.
RHT Invincibles. What did RHT stand for?
Rainbow Healing Temple.
Rainbow Healing Temple Invincibles. Got you.
All right. It is this man now at the time. After that, I found out exactly how deep this gentleman was. Mm-hmm. All right. So anyway, I introduced the band, and the band started to play, and and I started to jump around, and they finished one song, and I asked them, what do I play again? And they tell me, and I introduce it. And when they finished playing, and he came to me and asked me if I want to be a part of the band as an MC. Mm. I said, yes. So I said, so they say, okay. He said, you have to come to rehearsal though. And the bandman leader, Anson Collins, spoke to me and said he wouldn't like me at rehearsal. So I asked him where rehearsal was, and they said it was up Olympic Way, right? That's where the office, the place is. Now, after researching, now we found out that Rainbow Healing Temple, this man, he also had a bakery. He had bakeries, all right? Okay. And he was the first man to start a housing scheme in Jamaica.
What?
Yes. He had this Rainbow Healing Temple. Is a Rasta man, and he had a church. Mm-hmm. And that was the name of the church. And he had some land right on Olympic Way. And he built a couple of houses for the church members. And he was not alone. Mm-hmm. Him and a Rasta man that you hear most Rastamans talk about today, named Ras Emmanuel. Wow. So Ras Emmanuel and him and Father Gooden, they started the Rainbow Healing Temple and started the community. And of course, they started a black people revolution. I wouldn't say a revolution, but a whole industry for black people. He started the bakery, employed just youths out of the ghetto, right? And for the church members, I provide employment for them. He had another bakery on Spanish Town Road. He had and all of his the bakery. You see the sign, and the red, the ice gold and green on the bakery, and all his vehicle has the ice gold and green on the vehicle, just the same, right? And his bread, he didn't use yeast; it was natural bread. Right out there on Spanish Town Road. That's where the big bakery was. And then he had a second, a little one up there on Olympic Way, beside in the housing scheme. And his church was right up there too. Then after a while, himself and Emmanuel, they got into a little, they couldn't, I don't know what happened, but they part ways. And Emmanuel went for Bubble Hill.
Boss. This
and this man did not lax, He was a Rasta man. He had his beard. Yeah.
And what year was this? Did this band form? Did you get to the band?
No, for joke, the memory here. I'm speaking around 19. Okay, we got independent 1962. I remember that clearly because I remember I was in at school at the time, and we got this our independent mug, and we went to wave for the Queen and all of that. So I think it was about 4 years. So around 68, 69.
68, 69. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so then you are now a part of the band officially as the MC. Is this the first time you discovered your voice now?
First time I ever, know that I had a voice, or I know I had energy, So, this was the first time, and it was a great experience there because, I tried it. I have to leave my hat to Hanson Collins, who was also, the band leader, and he kind of give me a little tutoring in singing, and I didn't even know how to start a key or a note. So, I got a little thing there on where singing is concerned, a little instruction and all that. And we watched the members grow because Sly was always a creative brother. When we go out every Wednesday, we had us go back to Victoria Pier every Wednesday.
Okay.
And every time we go, we are better and better. And Sly is always trying something, what he's going to do. He's the first man to try and put a chain on the cymbal and touch the cymbal and the chain vibrate and make a sound. Yeah. Well, we're there. We went through a couple changes with different drummers. We had Santa came in, couple of the drummers. And one time, no, Santa did not come in until Sly left after he went to a band to join another band that's called Skin, Flesh and Bones, right up there in Reddy's Road. But in the meantime, we used to tour the island. We used to play a lot in Ocho Rios, all over the place. And I will never forget Father Gooden, because why he started this band is because he says he wants to do something for ghetto youths. Because all the major big bands in Jamaica at the time was uptown band. They were uptown. You had bands like Tomorrow Children, Inner Circle. Those bands were really from the influence, the higher section of Jamaica. When I say higher section, the uptown. Right, the Inner Circles, the Tomorrow's Children, and those bands, right? And then after that came Third World. But we were there, and we made our mark, right? Because we had some real talented people and good musicians. Light Parks now, while playing the guitar and singing, he decided to make a switch and try to play bass. Yeah, well, after, playing the guitar, your bass would not be hard to play. So that's there he made a switch and start playing bass. And he made his mark as an A1 bass player right there from that band. So that band, has done quite a lot for grassroots people. We have done a lot of things. Sure, Jamaica. We played on the first Care Festa in Jamaica. Lots of things, we entertain people from all over the world, the North Coast, all over the place. Then after that, the band started in. I had a little split, and like I say, Charlie went to Skin, Flesh and Bones. We here in Hyde Parks, and then I went on and made a move to another stalwart band with another stalwart musician, Tommy McCook. Yes.
What band was this now?
Tommy McCook reformed the Supersonics. Tommy McCook Supersonics. Right? He found that band, and I went there as a frontline man doing a little singing and MCing, and I was really blessed to be in the company of such great musician, Tommy McCook, and Roland Alfonso had just left and went to the States. All right, so we had another stint there. Right? Lots of things. A lot of people don't know, but Tommy McCook was one of the first person that is responsible for reggae music. He made a song called Reggae Instrumental.
What?
And right after that, Byron Lee came out with one called with the Papa Top. You must remember the Papa Top, right? Tommy McCook gave you reggae, right? I am really upset because I'm seeing a lot of people writing things and saying things and doing things, and they don't mention.
Because from my understanding, I thought, okay, well, we could be talking about two different things. I thought it was Toots that coined the word reggae, but I'm not sure if he's the first one to actually play reggae.
Tommy McCook, they went in studio, right? They used to do a lot of things at Duke Reed Studio, and they were in there because there's a lot of things that I hear and I read, and the knowledge, the little insight that I got from the creator of these things is totally different from what I'm seeing and hearing. Because a lot of people, it look like they read from some other things too. All right. Now, Tommy McCook in studio, well, they started to play this music and they didn't have a name for it. Both, he told me about ska also. All right. Yeah, what he told me that there was a time when R&B music used to run Jamaica. You might remember. It used to be R&B. Okay. So it happens to be that there was a time when there was a record strike in the US with RCA, and there was no R&B coming into Jamaica.
Got you.
All right. So Tommy McCook and the Skeptalites decide, because they had us to make the music for the sound systems and the dance. They had to keep the rock and roll thing, and there at that time in Jamaica, bands used to be the thing. I mean, that band used to be where people want to go to hear, dance and party. It's a band, not sound systems. All right. So they had to, and they had us playing rock and roll, and they used the rock and roll. No records coming to Jamaica. They decide to say, hey, they're going to have to make their own rock and roll to keep the business going. They went into the studio, telling him from the horse's mouth, Tommy McCook, Roland Alfonso, did adhere to that, did say, confer and say, yes, that's how it is also, because I knew Roland very well also. They went into the studio, started rock and roll, but it spoiled. They say, Tommy said it started to go this fast riff. And I think he said that Dungeon or whatever. So what is scarce up my come from? And I said, it's sort of thing named a scammer. And that's where Scare started. They went back in studio. I think Toots has something to do with that part of it also. And they were playing again after they're going down. And they, I think it was trying to remember the guitar, the organist at the time. He was on there revving. And they said, what kind of thing? It's a reggae man. And Toots, I think that Toots had to say, that's reggae. So the reggae came in between themselves and Toots at that time. So I hear a lot of things and I read a lot of things, but I know what I hear and I believe what I hear from the horse's mouth.
That's crazy right there. So it's like even reggae and ska, they were almost accidents because, as you said, it was really the rock and roll they were trying to duplicate.
Right. Yeah, and that's how Ska came about. You know, I talk this all the time, even on my radio program, because this is something I know because it was told to me from the person, one of the person who was responsible for making that. And then that's why he went on and he made this song called I Did Reggae. And then after that, it was doing well. And then after that, Byron Lee, they came up with Papa Top. But it looked somehow Byron, they were more able to get it into the radio stations more. So Papa Top took over and had a more, bigger run right there.
This is crazy.
Yeah, so that's that part of it down there. That part, had me all over the place, and then I went down and I had a dance group. We called ourselves the James Boys. We entered the dancing contest from time to time, but Copeland Dance Group always knock us out, But Copeland wasn't still aware. I was a better dancer than Copeland. That were the coordination and all that, So that's was the early part there, and well, after that, theater.
Wow, this journey is so the amount of stuff you did before you actually did the one thing that you did for 30 years is so crazy and amazing. Continue, please, sir.
Well, to be honest with you, radio was really what I was going for. Wanted to do radio. Okay. I was always fascinated by radio and the radio people. But I like the Almighty say, do it a step at a time, and he did it in his own time. And I put me in a lot of these things that has really groomed me for what I'm doing now.
Got you. So
the next move, I went into theater. That was another, how should I say, luck or something happened. But I was, like I say, a rude boy. I was a rude. We didn't know rude things like we were just like, we come out of the house and we don't come back in time and So there was a time when I went out and I was up on East Street, right, top of East Street, and there was, and I look into a yard. I see some people, they're doing some things. So I stay at the gate and I look, and I'm there. And when I realized whose yard it was, the great Ed Bim Lewis.
Bruh.
From Bim and Bam fame. And I was there, and he looked straight at me and said, "Come here." So I go, I mean, somebody always picking me out. I don't know that God had something for me to say, hey, you've got to be, in the entertainment, industry somehow. He said, "Come here." I said, you ever do any theater or any play or anything like that? I said, "No." And they said, "Why?" Because we used to have a negative view about people in theater.
Why you say that?
Growing up, it used as a stigma, that say, hey, if you're in that, you're.
All right, I got you.
So the grassroots people in Jamaica wasn't into theater. But they caught me, and when I go in, I say, pure street youth that I know, and people, And he says, "I have a play," and you don't fit the role. And he said to me, "I used to watch." I said, "I see, you used to MC at such a place." You're an MC, and yes, man, you is the man that would fit this. And I said, "What the name of the play?" Well, at that time now, the Jamaican government, they just introduced Gun Court in there, and he wrote this play called Gun Court Affair. You must have heard about that.
I did not know you were in that.
Yeah, I played the lead role.
You hurting me, GT. You're hurting me tonight, boss.
Yep. He put me right in the lead role. A lot of people auditioned for it, but it didn't work out. And he put me in, and boom. I was there. I play a role of a rich man, with lots of girls. I have my wife, and I have the helper, and I have money. And of course, okay. So that play, I went in there. Then he said to me, "GT, with you as an MC, I want to add something to the play." And he said to me, "What could I add to the play to make a difference?" So I used to think about, I say, when I watch these plays on television or our TV at the time was black and white,
Mm-hmm.
and where I used to really love Mass Run, and all of that. I said to him, let's make a difference now. Let's put a little show.
Mm-hmm.
So in between the play, so the story and the skit would go on for a time. Then you take a break, like it would be a pause, and then the show would come back. So he said, "Yes, but okay, what could you?" I said, "How could we tie it up?" I said, "Okay, I am playing this rich man in the play. Now let me. I could own a club." I could own a club, and and I could bring acts. I could bring, about this club, and I could be presenting entertainment in the club. And believe me, when we started the play, usually I used to MC shows. We used to MC a lot of shows. So he had an eye on me, because I used to do all these major stage shows throughout Jamaica. I did Carib Fest, and we do all the theaters. Carib Theater. The Odeon Theater, all the theaters, all over the place. I used to do shows, and one other thing I used to do I used to be a flashy MC. Every act I used to bring on, I used to change a suit of clothing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was, and I used to dance and do a lot of things, So I said to him, I'm going to incorporate that into the play.
Mm-hmm.
And I incorporate that into the play, and every artist that's coming on, I would change the clothes, and every time I go, the girls sort of scream like, "Whoa!" Boy, if I just show you one of the pictures and how I used to stay, I used to have all my, you see my bald head now, how my hair, flashy,
I guess you looked up to somebody like a Don Cornelius type of thing at that time there.
And there was another Jamaican MC that I used to really admire, Carl Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
He used to be that type of MC, a dancing MC. When he was on radio, he was on RJR at the time, and and all of that. And he used to MC all the big shows. And every time he goes out he changes clothes and he comes out dancing. So I copied him on that. Mm-hmm. Because in this business, everybody copies somebody.
For sure.
Or somebody, is your mentor on some level. So I copied him, and I took it to another level, and we took it to the play. And believe me, that was one of the main ingredients of the play. The play became one of the biggest play Jamaica has ever seen. As a matter of fact, that's the play that brought people, the grassroots people going out to play. Is all what you're seeing going on now as a play. Grassroots theater came off Ed Bim Lewis, Guncoat Affair, and he had before the Baldhead Rooster, and then after that he had one named Village Rooster. We used to incorporate. There's a person that used to come around us named Ralph Honis. He passed on. He used to help go around and put out the posters and all of that. The play. It's the only play in Jamaica. It draws thousands of people. We go to one theater to do one show. We end up doing like 4 shows. We go to Mandeville to do a show. We have to do like 3 shows in Mandeville, back to back. The line outside wrap around the theaters like 2-3 times. And everybody talking about this man. I had this MC the show. and fancy clothes, and there was another. Well, the show had comedy.
Mhm.
Had slapstick comedy. I mean, it had, and we had a hit song that came from the play that was written by Edwin Lewis, and it's like, I would like you and my sweetheart to be friends. Yes, that was the major hit song for the play, and of course I did a track on the flip side called Sweet Talking. Yeah. So
As a singer.
no, as a talker. As a rapper, I started to do, some fancy rap,
Yeah.
And that. It didn't, yeah. Well, they just put it on the flip side of because that time you had to have two sides of a 45, one B. So they just wanted something on there. So I just did what I tried out something on there.
What was your name at that time there?
Huh?
What was your name, your stage name at that time?
Same GT Taylor.
Okay. Remember where we are?
I was known in the play. The play had a play as Mr. Bucket, the rich man, in the play. That was the play. I always my stage name GT Taylor. And how funny though, I don't know. Don't ask me how I get the name GT Taylor, but GT. But my real name on my birth cert is Roy.
Wow.
Roy George Taylor. That's
okay. So I need to know how you came up with this GT and what is that GT supposed to represent?
Well, that GT came in when we started the band. Right? When I started work with the RHT Invincibles, between all of these guys down there, because at the time radio guys was either ET or radio, that type of thing, And I used to mostly go my name as George. Because my mother, my aunt, they had a problem in the name coming to a conclusion about my name. So while my auntie wanted to, my mother wanted to call me Roy, my mother said George, because, so I end up one of the time spending most time with my aunt, so the George stick. So I lived most of my life as George Taylor. I only had started using Roy when I migrated to the United States. I had to get your stuff together, and the Roy came in after that. So when I was a band now, everybody was about with the George or the George or they call me MC or GT. It's just MC. Most of them used to just call me MC. And today, if you talk to Sly, and Sly talking about me, it's a MC. Because I was known as an MC. They had me as an MC. So that is how. So the GT, people just, when I go anywhere, the people just say, GT Taylor. I mean, people just give me that. And I liked it. Then, I work, it worked for me. So I stick with it, So the play went on away. We ended up there with it. So that was a real hit. For Jamaica. It's one of the biggest grassroots play ever for Jamaica. And I have to say thanks to the late Edwin Lewis. He has taught me a lot. He also taught me, I didn't know I could do comedy, and I ended up doing comedy. Yeah, he taught me, so I ended up being a comedian, doing the comedy stuff when I went to New York. I will tell you a little bit more of that there. But I used to do comedy also as being as MC. You have to do everything. Some serious little thing, you just put, find out some a serious event and you just put a fun side to it, and
got you.
I used to do that real good. And I used to watch how Ronnie Williams, late great Ronnie Williams, how he was a master of delivery. He was a master of on-stage delivery. He had a timing was wow, So I copied that presentation also and that delivery, So Edwin Lewis helped groom me more where that is concerned. So the Gun Code Affair was my next major leap. That took my boy, that really catapulted my name within the fraternity, big time. The Gun Code Affair, and then we went on to do another one called what was it called? That play, the other play we call it. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
Big Head. It wasn't Big Head. Fucking sick. It's I remember the name of that play, but that play was I did another one after that. I was known as Roy Sweetness, in that one. Yeah, so those were, Obia Wedding, the name of it. Obia Wedding.
Hold on. You were in Obia Wedding 2 GT Boss?
Yes. I think you heard about that one too.
Of course you heard about. If I remember good, I think Obia Wedding even came to Canada one time too. There were some showings up here.
Yes, I wasn't. I left it at that time, and then the same Ralph Onis took over the play, and then he took it to Canada at the time. So I used to play the lead role there. In also that was called Roy Sweetness, and that play also went big because of we did also bring that club scene in there also.
Okay.
And it was a trademark for me. People look forward to that in a play, and I've noticed that a lot of other plays after that they copied it. Yeah.
So you have these 2 gigantic plays under your belt. Okay, cool. So what was your next step after this? Because that's massive right there. So what was your next step now?
United States of America. You're in love and all of that, and girl decide to go, you decide to follow. So I dropped all my, the name. I had a big name here. Mm-hmm. And I said, I have to move. I'm going now because, kids involved and all of that. Mm-hmm. So you have to take that into consideration. So I decided to move. And when I went there, and I was there doing all lots of things and doing a lot of going around, but I still wanted to do entertainment, So while there, I, still doing shows also, little MCing shows here and there, doing things. We do MC shows at the Apollo Theatre, do quite a couple of things. What? And I end up forming a group. I ended up forming a group. There was a comedian that, because comedy got into my system a bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, comedy got into my system. Yeah, so I end up, let me see if I find something. Let me see something before I go further here. Hold on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna, this deserves this. I end up forming a group. Mm-hmm. We end up forming a comedy group. And of course, the person that I teamed up with was one of Jamaica's top comedians that I used to admire before he left Jamaica. Mm-hmm. He used to go by the name of Lord Stupid. Okay. Yes. So we met in New York and we decided to form a group. And the group was called the Ticklers. Mm. And of course, we created a storm within the Jamaican community. Mm-hmm. Right? Because both of us, were really, something. I was a straight man and he was the funny one. A comedy duo have to have a straight man and a funny man, Mm-hmm. So he was very funny, he's gone now, may his soul rest in peace. Lordship, he was very talented, comedian. And of course, we also did a video clip with Oliver Samuels. Oliver meet the Ticklers. What? Yeah, somewhere on there on YouTube too. It's there. It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything. It was a very impromptu video. Mm-hmm. We just raw talent just working. And later we did an album called The Ticklers. Yes, Lord Stupid. And well, I am the tall one there. I don't know if you can see it. Good.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Wow.
And this album today is still on the marketplace. You know, I did not even know that this album was out there. Somebody came from Chicago and they said they had something for me. And this is what they put in my hand.
This is crazy.
You know? So we did this album and it's out there. You know, I think I'm going to edit it and put it out again, because a lot of the jokes in there do need a little bit of editing because of the time.
Got you.
You know, but so that was my next move. But being in the States and you want to get, you know, getting into the big theater there, the big time there. It wasn't easy, and you have to be in certain things that basically we are not. I am not going to, you know, draw a certain standard to, you know, I'm not going to sell my soul to gain the world.
Got you.
So I decided that, you know, I would stay within our community. All right, we stood there. We stood our ground, and we made a mark. Because the Ticklers is known. If you're anywhere in the Brooklyn area or so, you'd hear about the Ticklers, Stupid and GT, you know. So that was the US thing. Well, while there, a lot of things happened, and that didn't work out for me the way I always wanted. My mind was always to Jamaica.
Okay.
Right? I spent 20 years in New York. And I always wanted to come back to Jamaica, believe me. But, you know, you have to have something to come back to. But it so happened that my mom got sick, and I dropped everything and head home. Believe me, when I came to Jamaica, I took care of my mom, and I went back. When I went back to New York,
okay.
Not long after that, I got the news that she passed. I had to look about coming back, to head back to Jamaica. But when I went to Jamaica and I see the living of people, and I say, look, it's Jamaica, you know, it's home. And, you know, you can live. You know, all you have to do is to prepare and make preparation. I know that America is not the States. Is a third world country. You know, be satisfied with what Jamaica has to offer. I see my friends, you know, are having, you know, living healthy, living good.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I'm going to come home, you know, because my marriage went down. First marriage here went down.
Okay.
I just said, I'm going to go, you know. And believe me, I just pack up and leave. I come to Jamaica with $5 in my pocket.
What year did you come back to Jamaica?
1989, early 90, end of 89. So call it about 90. I came back to Jamaica. When I came back to, before I'm telling you so much. I have helped a lot of people too in the business because before I left Jamaica, I used to be a member of the Jamaica Federation of Musicians. We used to work with Sonny Bradshaw.
Okay.
Right? And they started the Jamaica Federation of Musicians Union, and I happened to be a bandstand inspector. We also happened to start the first Tasties Talent concert. Yeah, the first Tasties Talent concert we started. And I was the MC there. We used to do other things. I was even the first person to bring Yellow Man on stage. I was the first person to give Yellow Man a break. And why I'll have to mention this is because where I'm going to go after this. Yellow Man used to be at I think it's at the Alpha Boys home. And he was there. And I used to work with a band after the Supersonics and Invincibles. There's another band we went into called the Splendors. We used to play at a club called Splendor Heights, and the Keg.
Mm-hmm.
Keg Club was another club at Orange Street. And we used to be there playing. Me, Ranchi was there, and the same Hanson Collins went there because after the RHT Invincibles split, and Sly, they went to Red Hills Road. We went to form the Splendors. We played on Orange Street, this club called the Keg. And you used to have people walk past through and used to try to admire us. And, and one of the persons that used to come and admire us was Jacob Miller.
Holy smokes.
Jacob Miller was one of the persons that used to come there. No, Jacob Miller was a cha-cha boy, a sweet boy. Mm-hmm. Soul, and he used to hang out at, on Saturdays, and he used to hang out at Carib, and we all used to do that. We hang out at Carib, and we, meet the girls, and we tried to. But he always liked singing, right? But he used to sing he used to really imitate, be like Dennis Brown.
Got you.
He had this Dennis Brown. He wanted to be, used to sound like Dennis Brown. And so when we used to play the Keg, he used to come in there. I used to bring him out and invite him to come and sing with the band there. And he come and would do a one tune and leave. And then after that, there was this history with Jacob Miller, and also Freddie McGregor was another one that we used to be around, and and then he used to pass down there too, and then he went on to join another band. I think the band was called Generation Gap. Right? At the time, and then he became a band singer. So we used to match notes, and we, so we understand what we came up together. I went on from there, and I got award for top MC and all of that for the El Suzy Award and a lot of things in that time. We had a lot of these people we came up. Now, I remember when Dennis Brown got his big break at Carib, like a 12-year-old. Well, he went to this, they used to do Saturday morning shows at Carib. And he used to practice to sing up by North Street. That's where he sing first. He used to sing in the yard there, singing, and then he got his big break one morning. Clancy Eccles used to put on these stages. Yeah. I didn't get an appearance on the show because at the time, like I said, Carl Anthony was the big MC, and he was doing these shows, And I think there was a group from overseas that came on, and Dennis Brown, they came on. Let us introduce him, and he mashed down the place, and that's from then. Dennis Brown is history. And then Dennis Brown, he used to come to Victoria Pier. We used to come down to the Keg, to all over where with us. Dennis Brown to this don't even call me GT, he called me Georgie.
So there's MC, which is by Sly, and Georgie is Dennis Brown.
Yeah, and then is a Georgie, and then we go on. Then he, we used to meet up. I used to live down at Chance Lane at the time. That long before Randy started the record shop down there. Randy started the record shop, in a little space, and then they move on to get a restaurant beside it. And they were the first record shop to have a restaurant and a record shop close by. I was living at Chance Lane, so that was like a music fraternity right there. Because you had Chance Lane, you had North Parade now, where Randy started this thing, and it was a hangout spot for artists and a hangout spot for everybody. And then right after that, then Gregory Isaac, he came and he opened a studio a little bit further from Randy's right there, and it was just a meeting place. Right? And then because I was right there because of I was a member of the Boy Scout, the Salvation Army, just a little bit away from Randy's, right there. Then, because I live out Chance Lane, so we always come down and meet and we see everybody down there. And then we move on, and we have Brendo, got too close, and all of these people, we get to meet so many of them. We started down together, So I've watched the thing. I watched the thing grow.
Crazy, because you were about to tell me how you met Yellow Man.
Oh yes, Yellow Man. Now he used to come out at night when we used to play at the keg. He used to come out at the night in the nights, and I watched not the keg, the Brown Jug. This place that place on Orange Street, right? He used to come there, and him can MC, and he can DJ, and we put him on. And he used to do his little thing there. Then where he got his other big break, it was at Tasty Talent concert.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we introduced him. I wanted him to tell you, I'm going to go further now where this is concerned. Barry Gordon, Mr. Barry G. I used to be a big name MC. Barry G used to go to school, because I'm older than Barry. Barry G used to go to school, Casey. It's a school. Barry G used to come and watch me MC at the Tasty Talent concert every Thursday. Okay? He didn't start radio yet.
Yeah.
He wasn't. I'm gonna give you a gospel story, history now.
Mm-hmm.
He used to come and watch us. He was in. I think he was in sixth form. His last year in school, really, right? And he used to come and stand up on the stage and watch me. And you know what I mean? And then every time I come and say, boy, GT, just something like this I want to do, you know. And my main thing I like to get into radio.
Mm-hmm.
At the time I was a member of the JFM. I was a bandstand inspector with Sonny Bradshaw at the time. So I said, you want to get into radio? Then at the time, I said, Michael Manley, which our Prime Minister at the time, he started a program called Youth Service.
Okay.
Where youths could, when they leave in school, they could register for a service into any of the government institutions or offices. So I said to him, okay, this youth service, what you have to make you have to register for two, right? Which and which? He says, I said, okay, JBC is owned by the government, mm-hmm. All right, but you have to have another entity. He says, okay, think about library, right? So I said, okay, you're gonna fill out the form and you're gonna put in for JBC, you're gonna put in for library, mm-hmm. All right. He says, yes, so what you can do for me at this time? Sonny Bradshaw and Wycliffe Bennett. Wycliffe Bennett now was the manager of JBC. Mm-hmm. Okay, and Sonny Bradshaw, they were very close. So I went to Sonny Bradshaw and I said to Sonny, but there's a little youth that come out of TC's talent show on Thursday. He said he would like to do a stint in radio, leaving, as youth service. I said, what can you do for me? He asked me, so what you can do for it? Sonny Bradshaw said, okay, he'll talk to Wycliffe Bennett. And he went and he did. And the next Thursday, he came back to me and said, GT, tell the youth to go to JBC and make his application. Mm-hmm. And he went to JBC. And I told him to just say that Sonny Bradshaw sent you. Mm-hmm. And he went. So anyway, then there he went and he was there, and he started to do. They had him in studio doing some editing, because he's an excellent editor. He learned the editing thing in studio, cutting and splicing tape at the time, right? Excellent editor. But he came back one day to me at all their tasties and said, GT, why is a really my thing that I want, I am there myself. I said, well, I would have liked it to read it myself too, but I didn't have because at that time, to get into radio, you had to have some, a certain, you have to be a graduate of certain colleges or certain things. I was not there. So I couldn't make it at that time. So I said to him, okay, I'm going to ask Sonny now again, do what he can do for me. I go back to Sonny Bradshaw and Sonny, I said, Sonny, this youth in editing room, but he want to really have a mic thing. Talk to the manager again and see what I can do for him, because it's really enthused. Sonny said, okay. And by the next week, Barry G was placed with a a recorder box, and they said to go out in the street and do a thing named voice pop, ask people questions. He started that, but it so happens at that time, that was in the, I think it was 81, way up there, somewhere around there, or 80. He started that, and I left for the States. While I was in the States, all after that time, all I hear about is Barry G. Just blow up.
Crazy.
You know? But of course, he had the talent anyway, you know, and he went in and he made a mark, and yeah.
I had no idea that. To tell you the truth, I would later on. I have a question. I was going to say, okay, so did you look up to Barry G or any of these guys as people in radio? I had no idea that you're the one that got him into radio.
Barry G looked up to me. Yeah, but even though I was not on the radio at the time, I hope he remembers though, you know, because he's a guy that has a little shallow memory. You know, I hope he remembers. You know. Anyway, I was there. So after I came, I decided to come back to Jamaica now. And I hear Barry G, big and Barry G. And I said, okay, I can get some help because I want to get into the thing. You know, when I come back, I tried to reach a Barry G, but boy, it was so tedious, you know. So I decided to say, okay, I'm gonna, because I decided, I heard he was doing dances, and anyway, any dance he goes to, super crowd, you know. So I said, okay, let me see if I can keep a dance with him. Yeah. So I decided not to come into St. Elizabeth Mark at the time now when I came back to Jamaica. And I said my home parish. And I decided to say I want to do a dance. And I came out to St. Elizabeth. I asked Barry if he would do that first dance with me. And he accepted. And he did the dance. And I started in the parish of St. Elizabeth. The first major promotion, big promotion of printing big posters, 8x4 posters, and printing small posters and putting it through the entire parish. Before, people only used to put a little thing and stick it up here and at the post office or at a corner shop and thing like that. But I decided, with my knowledge and seeing how promotion is done in the States, and so I came back and I brought that to St. Elizabeth. And the first dance we kept there, it was super big. And that we, and after that, you know, I decided to do it alone. I started to move around some sound systems. I started to move around with Gemini in Kingston, yeah. And we you know, me and Gemini, we got very close, and we decided to put on to Gemini dance again in St. Elizabeth, and it was another super massive dance. I took that Glamour Wayne. Glamour Wayne was the selector. Glamour Wayne and Stone Love was the sound. Stone Love was the only sound that used to go to country.
Okay.
Stone Love was just Kingston. And at least even though Stone Love started in the country, though, a lot of people don't know. Right? Yeah.
No idea.
Started in the country. The same place in St. Elizabeth too. We started, you know. So I did some dances with Glamour Wayne and Gemini in the country, and you know, doing some things. And well, you know, I'm telling you, you know, we did it.
Yeah. Wow. You did these promotions and everything. When did you meet Carl Young?
Okay. Going into the Irie situation now.
Okay, you know what? Let's pull it back a bit. Because as soon as you said that, I know that there's something missing. I don't want it to miss. Let's whatever is missing, let's fill that in before we get to Carl Young.
I think is missing, man. Because, you know, I was one of the person that was there when the Diamonds was being formed. Right, the Tamlins was being formed also. What? You know, I encourage Copeland Forbes to manage the Diamonds. You know, at the time, and some of the things it can't even. You know, at this time, I would have to do right down to remember. Yeah. You know, But we've done a couple of things.
Mhm.
You know, we've done a couple of things in our time. You know, we made a lot of youths look into the area of MC, being an MC, because we took that to another level.
Mhm.
You know, we made MC being done. At one time, there was just the artist used to be the artist,
Mhm.
but there was a time when, through me, the MC was like an artist.
Crazy.
Because of the fancy thing, and we used to, give a lot of jokes and be an act before the act. But you learn too that you was not supposed to overcover the act.
Exactly.
So you know your limitations and when to pause for a cause. Then we came on, and we let's can go to the Irie thing now. Before Irie, I used to. I have to. Okay, when I tried to, let's say, get some that coming back in the business with Barry G, it did not happen. So I used to. I wanted. I love radio. So I went to RJR, to try to make some application, but boy, they give me a hard time. They give me. They turned me down for one word. They gave me an audition and said I must read and pronounce a word. Don Toppin was the general manager. I think not general manager, but the program or station manager at the time. And they said, do an audition, and they gave me a thing to read. And the word they turned me down for was Jam Kunu. They say I don't pronounce Jam Kunu. It's not so pronounced. Well, the English term, I said, we're Jamaican. Where's Jam Kunu? I said, no, it's Jam Kanu.
Okay.
Which is the English part of it. We're not England. We're not in England. That's why I couldn't do Shakespeare, because I am a Jamaican. That's in me. And, I think that is a lot of demise to a lot of people that not excel in certain things because they want you to be this English person that you're not. Right? So I want me to pronounce that. I could not. So God help me, I met another mentor, another great person by the name of Winston Williams.
Wow.
Mr. Radio, I call him. He is Mr. Radio. He is radio extraordinaire. When it comes to, he was another person that I used to listen to, from Jeff Dixon and Winston Williams. When it comes to rhyme, they used to create that. I'm standing tall like the Statue of Liberty, here to extend to you my musical personality. And all these things, Who's we use? I'm the conscious one in Kingston Town. You used to grab it. Right? So I met him, and we got close. And he used to take me into the studio and say, come in and stay with me in here, man. And then he used to say, all right. He knew that he told me to do the audition. Because he wanted to come into radio there. Okay. Right? So after that, it didn't happen. He said, okay, stay in studio with me. Come in and assist me. So I was there for a while with him. That's after I came back to Jamaica, I was there a while with him, going all over when he's doing outside broadcasts. I go with him, help him, and when there's a stage show, well, he didn't like to do the MCing part. He allowed me to do the MCing part of the outside broadcast, and then he also had me doing some street report to him in studio. Okay. Yeah, so I actually got into a little bit of RJR through Winston Williams at the time. Then while being there in 1990, then Irie FM was formed. This came on stream. People started to talk about them, because people couldn't get them all over, but people used to push up pole and all of that. The station coming in playing all reggae. Some people say it's not going to work. It's not, but it started to get into, it started to niche its way in, And they didn't have any commercials, so it was all music, you know.
Wow.
I think that was that you know, made it, you know, for them. And it was there going on. Then out of the blue, I got a call from a gentleman who was there. He was the program director and the sales manager. He goes by the name of Bob Clark.
We're talking about the original Bob Clark here.
He is the man that gave Carl Young the idea to start Irie FM. Bob Clark gave Carl Young the idea to start Irie FM. Okay. So he called me in, and I said if I he could find a little spot for me, but it's going to cost me. I'd have to pay for it. I said, well, I don't mind, you know. So he told me how much it would the cost of the time, an hour. So I went back to Winston and I said, Winston, there's little opportunities at Irene, but what I'm doing with him, I don't want, I don't want to really upset him and say, all right, should I go ahead? But Winston said, no, man, go ahead and grab it. Go ahead and take it, man. I said, all right. I went down and I sat back down with Bob, and he said he wanted a dancehall program. Dancehall little thing, dancehall. He wants somebody to go into the dance halls, take the sounds and bring it and play it on air. Right? I says, okay. So I said, I don't have any equipment. I says, okay, no man, we'll give you something. And they called me and introduced me. And he said, okay, but it's gonna cost. It's gonna cost some money. And I said, okay, you can go maybe and get a sponsor for it. All right. So I went back out and through my little knowing with some people, I made some contact with DNG, right? And I got one of the brand managers of Red Stripe to sponsor the program. I took it and they decided to sponsor the program. It was for 3 months.
Okay.
Only 3 months. I go in there, I went down and I take my first dance and I presented, put it on when I presented, and played it in its entirety, but you have to do a lot of editing, because, we spend some time and edit. So people start to come onto this, got a hearing sound system, thing in the night there, So I said, okay. So while doing this now, I start to do some little presenting myself too. To be honest with you, there was no microphone at my FM. Nobody didn't open it, all music. There was a microphone, but it was not open. Right? And then I asked the boss if I could present, and he says, okay. And I was because there was some other program that Andrea used to do. There's a program I think is running Africa. They used to actually open the mic at that time, but in the normal music program, nobody talk. I was the first person to open the microphone at Irie FM.
Wow!
And I started, and at the second month, end of the second month, going into the third month, one night I was in there, I see the door open. Call him and come in and said, you want to work? I am getting a portion of money from DNG. DNG gave me a good sponsorship deal. I'd be satisfied with that because that was nice. It was good. And said, you want to work? I said, but boss, I have a contract with Red Stripe, And I said, scratch again. Think about it. You can get the job, I said, but how the sponsors did him go? When go? I'm saying, you want to work?
Yes or no?
Work, you have a Red Stripe up there. I said to him, I said, I will talk to you when I finish. I'm going to do my thing. And I said, but this man has the hunger, Right? He can make go because I have a signed contract with him. He can let me go on until the contract is over and I don't come back through the door.
Got you.
That's what I say. So I'm not get this man stay there. And I was going to finish. I could tell him, I said, okay, boss, I will take the work. And I said, all right, you're on. Guess what now? I used to get the hour. Him say, you have an hour and a half.
Okay, so they put something on it.
Yeah. And go on. In between that time now, there was no telephone in there. And I started to create some vibe and thing inside studio. And, I say, I need the phone line open. And I need a phone. And then put the phone in there. And within another 2 weeks, him saying, just go and do your thing, Go and do it. There was no time. And believe you me, that time we work, every program at Irie was different. Because Mighty Mike was there, God rest his soul, and he was doing a different program. Gary G was the top man. He was, Marcus was hot. Big A was there, and of course, Elise did not come in yet at the time. They came in after me. And but anyway, I keep on and I start to create some vibe. Then at the end of the one Christmas now, we decided he got Red Stripe now to start the program fully, big time. So when I think at it end now, I could get it. So I know what, but I know he got this span. Red Stripe signed a contract for 2 years.
2 years?
With him and me for the program.
Okay. Before we even go to it, what year did you officially get onto Irie?
1991.
Okay.
1991. July 7th, 1991. So
I remember that.
Yes. So at the end of the year now, I started to create some things at Irie. I started to create some talk. I started now when I used to listen to community, I watched the community. They used to have this thing called posse, There's a thing called a posse, and it was kind of a violent thing with the posses and all that. So I decided to say, no, we're gonna change the thing, and we're gonna move from the posse. And I came up with this idea called it the Dancehall Crew. And then from there, you used to have all kind of crew start up, and I opened the phone lines to get these crew be named. These crews to name themselves now. You used to have the Sleep Them crew and the One Love crew, and you know what I mean. Certain crews used to come up. Even Scare Them crew got their name from the crew, from this crew. Definitely, and people used to, because it was. I made nighttime radio now became a thing. People didn't used to listen to nighttime radio, but because I came in with these things that are some you can't sleep, a man of wall, you know what I mean? You have to be strong, you can't kick you. You know what I mean? And then I also watched some things, and I brought it there. I brought in Flash Up Your Lighter. Because then now I used to start to play out in the dances. And when I played that, we started, and I brought in Flash Up Your Lighter and brought the lighter thing into the dances and into the stage shows. All right? That was my initiative. Flash Up Your Lighter. Right? And that become I should have copyrighted everything that Trust me. But everywhere you go, it was Flash Up Your lighter. Because I used to play on the radio and I said lighter, flash up your lighter. Right? We used to have, and then every weekend most of Irie FM this just used to play on the road. And I used to play some of the biggest dances all through the island of Jamaica. Right? People talk when I go into, hundreds of people outside the dance just waiting until I come and I go in the dance. It cock, and they like to hear me unleash the dub plates and all of that, So, and we created the dancehall crew. And then after that, it's just pure crew you hear all over the place. And then we came in Flash Up Your Lighter. And at the end of that year was the first year we have made Red Stripe beer sold out. You could not get a Red Stripe beer that Christmas in Jamaica because of we used to do street dances, and we used to do have the White River Reggae Bash, and Red Stripe. We used to bring the Red Stripe, and because of the program, Red Stripe beer was sold out in Jamaica for that and that Christmas, right? So, but we have to, so that's the beginning of Irie.
Wow.
I can say, when I started the dancehall program, a lot of people say it's not going to work. And a lot of people say, no, they don't. The dancehall can't work on radio. But quietly, when I was doing dancehall program, people in the hills, Beverly Hills and all the high falutin places, used to, on their pool, put the radio on the pool and having a party with my program. Because people used to call me. I said they're having a party with my dancehall program. And believe me, that program has cost anywhere you go in the world. Every radio station in the world that plays reggae is doing a dancehall program because of Irie FM in the dancehall.
That is.
I brought dancehall to radio. The program. I did. I was the first to do a dancehall program on a radio. Every radio, because people all over the world used to just they come in, they listen to Irie FM, they call, and they go through the world right now, my brother. And all programs are actually dancehall program. Everybody doing a dancehall program, on radio, because we started it there. Okay,
there was one legendary moment, or it might have happened a couple of times that I remember, when there was a 9-sound clash on Irie FM.
Yes. How that started.
This podcast is brought to you by www.twolinedmusichut.com.